Big Questions with the Dead Milkmen.
Happy New Year, everybody, and welcome to the new season. I think it's the 4th season of Big Questions. And I have the question. The question is, what is the most horrible thing ever done on tour by a rock band or solo artist? I added or solo artist, but I gave this some thought. I decided to exclude the low budgets and the Dead Milkmen from it, just for my answer anyway. And then that took me to something that happened in August 2004. I think I was on a low budget tour when I heard about this, but it involves, of all bands, the Dave Matthews Band. And you may know already what I'm talking about. It happened in Chicago, over the Chicago River, over the Kinzie Street Bridge, which is a graded bridge, over which the Dave Matthews Band tour bus released in the middle of the day, around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, released the contents of their septic tank, which went not only into the Chicago River, really, it went into a tour bus that happened to be going under the bridge at that same time. And
it was still better than his music.
Did you say a tour bus, Joe? Went on to a tour boat.
A tour boat.
Yeah.
Not yet. Thanks for correcting me. A tour boat. I'll try to fix that in post.
Surf's up.
A tour boat.
Charlie, don't surf.
Once a year, they do dye that river green.
Well, yeah, and they can laugh about it now, but everybody on the tour boat, it was one of those boats that had an open roof. And so a lot of people were drenched in poop, belonging mostly, I guess, this is something I just learned, it was just a tour bus for their violinist. They had 5 tour buses on this tour. I think there are 7 of them. There are a lot of people in the band.
They all have their own tour bus?
Almost, I guess. I don't know.
You could fit a lot of people on those tour buses.
That's true.
I would rather be wearing feces than a Dave Matthews t-shirt.
The tour bus of the violinist Boyd Tinsley. And
you should make a shirt that says that, actually.
The people on the tour, it was a tour of architecture of Chicago, a tour that they still do by boat on the Chicago River. Were taken to the hospital and everybody checked out and they were all okay. But Dave Matthews Band was fined hundreds of thousands of dollars. I don't know the exact figure. There's a Wikipedia page about it. And the bus driver was also fined. He originally didn't confess to it and they denied the story. And then he finally confessed and said, yeah, that was me. And there was also there were witnesses, of course, the people in the
witnesses in this case.
A pregnant woman who was driving, I think, behind them or in front, somehow at the same time, and noted in an interview in the newspaper that not all the poop went through the grate. Some bounced off the grate and onto her car, while she was driving it, and nauseated her. So there you go. That, I think, to me, that's the most horrible, because I think it's just so disgusting. And you wouldn't expect it of the Dave Matthews Band, maybe G.G. Allen's tour bus, but no, that's a bad joke. But the Dave Matthews Band is the last band you'd expect. They're also pro-environmentalist. They're known for donating to environmental causes. And it's interesting. It's ironic, I guess.
Just claim you were doing the 4th movement of Beethoven's 2nd Symphony. Look that up, people. Look it up. Look it up. Beethoven wrote the 4th movement's all about farts. Look it up.
It's my turn.
Yes.
So
you, Dan.
I thought about a lot of different stories, but I couldn't resist going with an obvious one, with Keith Moon. There's so many stories. But there was one that stood out, well, a few. and I'll lead up to the one that stood out the most. But apparently on I think 1967 tour with Peter Frampton's band, the Herd, I think they were called. Keith Moon rigged firecrackers up to the keyboardist's keyboard and could detonate them like during the band's set, and I think did, which is pretty messed up. They also had he had rigged a pulley system, so when the drummer went to hit a gong, he would pull it away, and the guy would miss it every time. But I think the worst, the most horrible thing was that he ran over his bodyguard. I think that kind of takes the cake there. I don't know what else to say about that. He ran over his bodyguard. Apparently he was trying to get out of being beaten up by some skinheads. And the bodyguard, I guess, was also the driver and got out to guard his body. And
Keith jumped into the seat.
I think he had been pummeled and fell in front of the car, and Keith Moon was drunk and didn't know, and he got behind the wheel and dragged him for a while. So yeah, beat that.
I was never impressed with Keith Moon trashing hotels because a maid has to clean up the hotel.
Yeah, you mentioned it in the song.
Yeah, that never appealed to me. But if you want to impress me, trash a Klan rally or a mega church. Do one of those. Then you've got a fan for life.
Or instead of running over a skinhead, run over your personal bodyguard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, the bodyguard kind of fell in front of, and then it actually rolled right over his skull. I mean, it literally, and it was a Rolls Royce that Keith Moon had. That's why he was sort of singled out. Yeah, and a Rolls Royce has quite a heavy, particularly the old one's quite heavy. So it crushed his skull. Not pretty.
Yeah. All right. Well, so that's mine.
Well, Dan, I also chose Keith Moon, but I have a backup. But I'll mention another Keith Moon story, which he kind of got his comeuppance from the Ox, the bass player, because he went into John Entwistle's room one night in France, and he ate their food and pissed on the wall and poured wine all over the floor. And of course, he was drunk out of his mind. And he passed out, and then John threw him back into Keith's room and trashed Keith's room. And then he woke up the next morning and he didn't, he had no idea what had happened. He didn't remember trashing his own hotel room, which of course he didn't really do. But yeah, he was pretty messed up. He's also known for one of the guys from the Bonzo Dog Band. He would dress up in Nazi uniforms and drive around. Not very cool. My backup really isn't on tour, but Morrissey has had some problems over the years, saying some really outrageous things. He's very critical of lots of people. His band, they wear Hate William and Kate shirts. He's very anti monarchy, which is fine, but he's also criticized other performers like Lady Gaga and Madonna. And of course, he doesn't show up for half of his shows that he books. And so
that's something on tour that
he pisses off people who buy tickets for his shows, and he never shows up. So
you ever see The Simpsons with Morrissey?
No, I don't think I saw that.
Oh my gosh! I've become a fat racist. What's happening to me? It's amazing.
Eating a hot dog too.
Yeah, folks, stop what you're doing right now. Go watch that Simpsons.
So yeah, but yeah, Dan, Keith Moon has a lot of stories, and Morrissey's one of the most loathsome people in music business right now. So anyway, those are my answer.
Yeah, I when they announced he was playing at the Met, I put a thing up that said, "How soon is never." Yeah. Keith Moon, actually, the one thing he didn't do it on tour, he did it on the Smothers Brothers show, got the stage manager drunk and got him to put 4 times the legal limit of gunpowder into Keith's drum kit. So when it went off, it basically created shrapnel from the cymbals, and it set Roger's hair on fire. It's one of the things that deafened Pete Townsend. And backstage was Betty Davis, and she passed out.
Yes.
If you can make Betty Davis, yeah, I'm going to put Betty Davis on the list. Make Betty Davis pass out on the list of cool things.
Probably drunk too.
Yeah. So I thought at first I wanted to go with Cardi B because she enjoys a night out. And I only wanted to go with that because I was trying to remember the name of one of the clubs she was arrested in. I remembered it was funny. So I went and looked it up, and it was called the Booby Trap on the River. And I just want to say, I did a little research, and this sounds like the greatest strip club of all time. I will at some. You don't need to see Paris or London. You need to see the Booby Trap on the River, folks. So now I didn't include her because as we mentioned on the show, I am a huge Cardi B fan. I have a type, and Cardi B is that type. Now I am happily married, of course, but should anything ever happen to my wife, Cardi, call me. If you ever decide you're attracted to old white dudes who look like they work in the accounting department, give me a call, Cardi. So with her off of the list, I decided, and again, let's just take a minute to reflect on the Booby Trap on the River. With her off the list, I was looking up when I saw Booby Trap on the River. I saw a little thing about her arrest, and there's a little thing about another band that I really don't care anything about. They have no impact on my life whatsoever, about an arrest of one of their band members, and that band is Coheed and Cambria. Now, if you've never seen a Coheed and Cambria t-shirt in your neighborhood, congratulations on not having to go up. So in 2021, Coheed and Cambria were on tour with Soundgarden. Ooh, there's a show I want to see. That may actually be the most horrible thing that a rock band has ever done on tour, play a gig with Soundgarden. So they were on tour with Soundgarden, and while on tour, anywho, their bassist, he's now their ex-bassist, a guy by the name of Michael Todd. What he did was he walked into a Walgreens somewhere in the wilds of Massachusetts, and on his cell phone, he had a note demanding drugs and saying that he had a bomb. And that reminds me of the old, what do we call that? The book, Naked Lunch. In Naked Lunch, a guy goes into a pharmacist and he has a what we call it, prescription for cocaine written on a piece of toilet paper. It's like, give me drugs. So I was like, ooh, I'm already impressed because he's holding up his phone saying, I want drugs, I have a bomb. So the pharmacist has no idea whether or not this guy has a bomb. And he gives him, and just to be fair, Mike did not have a bomb. He had no bomb. The pharmacist gave him, I think, 4 bottles of OxyContin, which is actually 2 bottles less than I would need to make it to a Soundgarden show. So I think right there is the thing. And he set him on his merry way. And then somebody spotted him. They knew, they could kind of tell he just robbed the place. They spotted him. He decided to take a taxi to the Comcast Center up in Boston because, of course, Comcast had to play into this somehow.
Wait, this was right before a gig?
Yeah. He went in. He went in and got the OxyContin with the note on his phone.
He was like, "All right, sound check's done. Going to Walgreens."
Why you need a note? Couldn't you just say, "I have a bomb"?
It reminds me of in Pulp Fiction. In the very beginning, they're talking about how he says somebody robs a bank with a phone, saying that.
Yeah, he's basically like, well, I thought he's forgetting. I have a what and I want what. So anyway, so they did arrest him and the band kicked him out. Now, there's nothing funny about drug addiction, all right? And I do wish Mr. Todd a speedy's probably not a right thing to say. A rapid recovery. I really hope things are fine for him. I am being serious, but we're with you, dude, and we hope you get better, and we hope you play in a band that doesn't have to do the Soundgarden thing and all that. But here's the thing. Do you know what his punishment was for this? He got 1 year of house arrest and 3 years of probation. And this is why this is the worst thing ever, because that told all of those bands out there that if you are essential to the hipster economy, you will never do hard time. All right. The yeahs could firebomb a daycare center, and the most they're going to get is a stern talking to. So that is why it's the worst thing. It basically told hipster bands, oh, just go on a murdering spree. You'll be fine. I'm surprised Mumford & Sons weren't cruising around the Hollywood Hills looking for actresses to murder. So yes, that is indeed my worst.
It's pretty bad.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Recommendations shall we have now? I'd like to recommend a non-alcoholic beer company called Athletic Brewing Company. And I've tried 2 of their beers and they're quite good. They claim to have less than 0.05% alcohol. I guess that's near beer.
Well, it's even less than near beer.
Even less than, yeah, this is non-alcoholic. And it tastes really good for non-alcoholic beer. These are 2 IPAs, and they make all kinds of different beers. There's a website where you can see what they have. And I got these at a beer distributor. And I like IPAs, and they taste good with that. They don't have that alcohol taste either, so it's smooth. So yeah.
Can one drink non-alcoholic beer and drive?
I don't know. I haven't tried. I guess you can. You probably won't blow on a thing.
It would be funny to have one like a cup holder.
What is it?
Or whoever.
Blow whatever. Blow what you have to blow. I wouldn't want to get pulled over no matter what, but explain that you are drinking near beer that's not even near beer. I don't know. That's
by law, the cop would have to kick your ass.
I'll probably get shot.
Is it my turn to recommend something?
Yes, please.
I'm going to recommend Sine Studios in beautiful downtown Philadelphia, PA. We'll probably be there when some folks are watching this on Saturday. We're going to be mixing from the new album. So maybe this is like a plug too. But Matt and Mike, they're great to work with. They know what they're doing. They listen and they suggest things. They have good feedback, and it's really efficient. Like I feel like we get in and out of there, and still a good product. So yeah, Sine Studios.
In and out, no monkey business.
I'm at a loss for a recommendation this week. I've been super busy at work, but I did get to deliver my old drum kit to the rehearsal space that I think like Midnight plays in, and then Andrew and I got to jam a little bit. And so playing music with friends like you guys is good for the soul. So I hope people who out there create art together and play music together. That's what I recommend.
Yeah.
I don't think some of you should. If you're listening to a lot of indie rock, just don't. No. There's no need for you to do this. I'd get to do I got a ton of recommendations. I could have sold you some of my extras for this week. Okay, so first thing I'll do, music that you won't hear on the television or see on the radio. This week it's a band called Spike Hellis. Spike Hellis are a minimal EBM band. If you've watched the show enough and you've taken some of my recommendations, I think some of you people might be ready for Spike Hellis. Spike Hellis could go to jail for crossing the street. They are not essential to the hipster economy at all, and they are very, very, very good. Up next is something called it's called Palmer Trolls. It's a guy by the name of Ben Palmer, and I'm going to recommend actually his comedy special. What he did was he figured out that you could pretend to be anybody on the internet. And so he did. He started pretending to be different corporations. People would complain about Walmart being closed on Thanksgiving. So he basically tortured this guy named Trey. He's like, well, Trey, if your house is open, then we're open. We come over there. And then same Trey complained about a same-sex kiss during the Macy's Day Parade. So Ben Palmer went on as Macy saying, it's okay to be gay. It's okay to be Trey. Have a nice day. And then pop back on as Walmart saying, by the way, we're still closed today. and the guy says, wait a minute, Walmart and Macy's are related? And then Ben went on and put on there as Macy's, yes, we're gay lovers. So watch the whole half-hour long thing. It's absolutely, he destroys Joel Osteen. It is an incredible thing, a rampage. At one point, even before COVID, he got on an anti-vax page and he changed his name to Measles. It's really, the guy is a genius, and I really enjoy what he does. And then my last recommendation for you folks, if you're parents, don't let your little kids count change or work the automatic menu thing in restaurants. I went to get coffee the other week. I was over at Thrift Raise. I went to a place near there, and they had the automatic. And there were people in there, and they had like 2 kids, and each kid was working a menu. And then they had to and they go, Miss, we need you to clear this. Little Billy put in the wrong thing, and I'm like, all I want is coffee. I don't have kids. All I want, and I realize that a lot of parents figure that their kid can do like calculus at the age of 3 because they love their children. I don't even like people's children. I mean, I'm like, don't let them do this. And sometimes I was stuck. I'm not kidding about this. I was stuck, and the kid's name was Darwin, which made it even better. He was counting out. His mom had him count out the change. He's like 1, 2, 2, 2, and his mom's like, Darwin, what comes after 2? 1, 2. I'm like, lady, by the time he figures this out, I will be so old, I won't be able to figure it out. I'll be sitting there going 1, 2, 2. I'm just like, I wanted to tell her, like, just liquidate his college fund now and buy that sports car. He ain't gone. So those are my recommendations for this week. Yes, the last one was a little harsh, but it needed to be said.
I will say I believe there might be consequences to stopping your children from learning how to use those things, because I didn't let my kids do it for a long time. And now when they're at it, they're like, they press everything and then they'll go back and they're messing around with it. So it's like, now it's time to mess around with it. I'm like, all right, I'm going to be over here while I'm doing that.
Oh, we're the boys in chorus. We hope you like the show. You know it's written for us, but now we have to go.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Bye.